Right. Welcome back. This is Jasmine with the Sisters Collective, and today I am joined by none other than Maria Smith, and I'm so happy to have her with me today. I wish we could do this in person, but listen, we got to wait till this COVID-19 gets out of the way. But yes, thank you so much for joining me, Maria.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. So excited.
Yay! So we are going to go ahead and jump right into it. This particular episode in this motherhood series is literally about motherhood. And I had to ask Maria to be a part of this because she has two gorgeous daughters at two different age brackets. And so that requires a certain level of juggling and mom magic that I just wanted to know more about. So, Maria, first of all, let's have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and, of course, your daughters, what are their ages, and all of that good stuff.
Okay. Thank you, first of all, Jasmine, for having me. It's just always a pleasure to hang out with my girl. Like anything she does, I want to be a part of it. So it's always an automatic yes. Like, Maria, do you want it? Yes, before the question is over. Yes. Anything Jasmine related, I'm there. But this particularly is like really special to me because being a mother for me is like the utmost, it's at the top of the priority list of all the hats that I wear. But a brief, introduction to me. My name is Maria. I have two daughters. One is 17, and she is about to be a senior in high school this coming fall. And I have a 5-year-old daughter who will be in kindergarten also this fall. So I'm literally starting all the way over as far as it relates to like school. Like we're literally kindergarten starting all the way over when one is leaving. So it is, it's an interesting dynamic to have such an age gap. They're 12 years apart. However, I think for me, the way I am set up mentally, it worked perfectly because I couldn't fathom having two small kids, or even if they were, one was a little older than the other one.
Right,
It just, she's literally like an extension of me. So it's like, she's like a second set of hands. Like when
Yes.
was a baby, like she could literally help tremendously. So yeah, that's how mommyhood is for me right now. Like, it's interesting.
It is. And like my stepson is about to be 10 and
Okay.
in June, and then Arden is about to be 1 in a couple weeks. So like literally when she starts school, he'll be like in high school.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in that like, this is gonna be a serious thing to tackle because already he's in school right now, and we're working through. He's in 4th grade right now, so it's still elementary. He still has time to get to more difficult, challenging things when it comes to his schoolwork and things like that. But I can't imagine. I know how difficult it is for me when he's here on the weekends and we're like doing his work, and I have Arden over here that's like, mommy, 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 mommy. And I have Junior who I'm like, okay, I need you to, let's see what work you need to get done. Like, let's tackle, especially since schooling is online right now.
Right.
What all do we have to do so that you can stay on top of your things? So first of all, like in the midst of everything, how is that going? Because you have, she's at home, both of them are at home, obviously, and you're having to help her with like she's 11th grade. So 11th grade work online versus her being in a classroom. How is that going and navigating little Lydia there? How is that?
It has been interesting. It has been a challenge at times, just because of the fact of, thankfully, like my oldest, Leah, she is able to navigate a lot of things on her own. Like, a 17-year-old is not someone you have to like hold their hand and baby step them through each step. Like she's, quite tech savvy. So thankfully, I'm just having to make sure that she kind of stays focused on, the day-to-day assignments, making sure everything is turned in, making sure, how teenagers are with their phones, making sure that that's literally taken away. So what I do now, I've literally said, you know what, when you get up, schoolwork first. So just put the phone in my room. And then when you're done,
wow.
so then when you're done with your work, let me see what you've done. And then you can get it back afterwards so that there's no distraction. But Lydia, that's where the issue has been, like, because a 5-year-old clearly cannot, navigate what assignments need to be done, this and that. And her school, she's in a preschool that has a pre-K program, and they've been great with like emailing activities and things of that nature, and letting us know what would have been taking place had they been in class. So some of that is great as well. But I have learned what worked for me is whenever I felt overwhelmed, or like, you know what, this is a bit much. Like, I'm not a teacher, and I still have, like, I'm a makeup artist, so I still have to make sure, even though I'm not quote unquote working and doing makeup right now, a lot of events and weddings and that
Future planning.
Has gotten pushed back. So you're still having to be in communication with wedding planners and event planners and your brides and, your bride's mom and this person and that person, getting contracts out. So that whole aspect is still there. And then you're having to make sure, kids still got to eat. Like, you can't just be like, well, I'm doing schoolwork, so forget the food. Like, you're doing everything.
Yeah.
You're not sending them off to school to learn. You're now taking on all of that. Yeah. And so when I find myself being overwhelmed, I just kind of scale back and say, you know what? We'll do the learning portion how I see fit. So let's say instead of, being bogged down with what videos or what apps we can look on, you know what? We're going to read this book, or we're going to just, practice your writing. Like, we'll just do it like, I'm pushing 40. So when I was younger, this is how we did it. So that's what we're going to do. We just get some paper out. We're going to write, you know what I mean? Like,
practice cursive, practice letters.
Thank you. We're going to practice penmanship, all of that. Like, we're going to do it that way. And I think that's what has helped, when I just don't allow myself to get bogged down and feeling like you just have to do it a specific way. You have to do what works for you and what works for the way your kids will still, have their time to learn. Like, you just do it the way it works for your household.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a challenge, but we wing it. Like, we literally we kind of just go with the flow.
I feel you. I completely feel you. I had a couple of weeks ago, before I was like, really, okay, we figured out this system. I had a meeting on a Friday. I think it was like a Thursday or Friday. I had a meeting at the same time that Junior had this big blue button meeting with his class, like where they do like a Skype call, Zoom call, or whatever.
Right.
Like, but I need my computer because I got a Zoom call too. So I was like, oh, geez, how are we going to do this? It took a second. It took a second. I was able to pull it up on my cell phone. Luckily, my cell phone was like right with it. So I was able to get him on there. But yes, you literally have to go. It's like you go with the flow, but then you're also winging it at the last second, trying to figure out navigating this space. And especially when you have doing two completely different things.
Totally different things.
Like, you're talking about starting the basics, and you're talking about preparing for college.
Girl, totally different
things. So outside of current dynamics of how things are, what has been the biggest challenge with one? Let's start with Leah, like growing up, and she is at an age, she's in a completely different age bracket, that being your first child. How was the experience of that, her being your first, and moving forward and still with your career and everything? And how was that, navigating that space with her being your first child?
It has been, when she was smaller, it was not nearly as difficult, right? Because when they're little, you don't have as much of the dynamic and the influence of peers, and there's not, wanting to hang out with friends and wanting to a job and wanting those types of responsibilities and relationships with other kids. Like that isn't there yet when they're smaller.
Right.
So when she was smaller, it was not nearly as difficult to navigate working and raising her, for one, because again, up until 12 years, it was just Leah and me. It was just the two of us. It was a lot easier. But as she got older, and then, the things that mattered at first start not to matter anymore, like the playing with dolls and things of that nature.
Right.
That starts not to matter. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm getting older now. Now I want to work, and I want to do this and I want to do that. And, the extracurricular activities, and like she went to Europe last summer, and it's like all of those types of things. It goes from like, okay, this mommyhood thing, we're trucking along, we're getting there, doing the basics, like learning manners and all, like, the basics. And then it like switches, and I don't know when that is, but it's almost like a light switch flips on, and then there's another set of challenges, and those are a little bit harder to navigate. Like I've even put her in counseling now, so that also has helped tremendously too, just to piggyback on what we were just previously talking about with the whole dynamic of things being so abnormal, because even you take the academics part of it out of it, it's not normal for a 17-year-old to be stuck in a house with a 38-year-old woman and a 5-year-old kid.
Right.
Just the mental dynamics of that right now, that's weird. Like never in the history of time has that ever happened. So you're taking away the fact that she is leaving the house for 8 or 9 hours a day around people her own age and all of that. So I would say, the biggest challenge was just switching from that cute little adolescent age to now, the teenage years, and throwing in the dynamic of the generation that we're in now. Like we're in the generation, everything, we're in the internet age and information age. And so, like when we grew up, social media wasn't like even a thing at all. Like it was literally non-existent. So not to say the issues kids have now didn't exist back then, they did, but
it was just a different dynamics. It was
they weren't, your issues weren't splattered all over everywhere for everyone to see, or it's just that whole dynamic, like helping her navigate through how challenging life can be due to all these outside elements of being a teenager. And so and it doesn't, it kind of sneaks up on you, and then you're like, boom, like, okay, life is different with this kid. So that has been challenging. It's been a lot of times you literally don't know. Like there were a lot of nights of literally laying on my face like, Lord, I don't know. Okay. I don't know.
I need all of your guidance.
Right? Yeah, all of it. Cause I literally, I don't know, and I can't do this without you. So it was a lot of praying, a lot of meditating, a lot of seeking God's face with just how to navigate some things, because I just wasn't sure like what to do and how to handle things.
And I can imagine like with each, because you have, like you said, you have the baby phase, and then you have the little girl phase, and then it's like she somewhere in between you being an adult and you being this little girl, it just becomes this completely different space, and you're like, they want to show their independence, but it's like, you're still my child, you're still under my roof, and I'm trying to protect you but also guide you at the same time. So it kind of, I can see where we like, okay,
very challenging. It's very challenging to be like holding the reins, but at the same time, I'm a firm believer in experience being the best teacher. So I can't totally just be like, nope, you can't do this, you can't work, you can't do, like, it's like, no, she wants to work. Okay, well, this is how we'll go about that. So, she does work and handles that very well, because it's like, no, this is an opportune time to teach her about money management and things of that nature, and time management, because kids have to figure out, okay, I have to be able to work at this sort of amount of time, so then I have this amount of time to do homework. Like, it's a lot. And it literally does sneak up on you. Like one day they're babies, one day they're adolescents, and then boom, they're like teenagers, which is a weird space, because you're not quite, you're clearly not a kid, anymore. So it's like, it's odd. So yeah, that's the biggest challenge. It's just properly handling and navigating how to direct them, when they're that age.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like it's gonna jump up on me really quickly.
and that's exactly how it happens.
Because I mean, she was this little itty bitty thing, and now she's toddler. Like, she skipped, it went really quick, where now she is a full blown toddler, and I'm
Right.
like, damn.
Like, you were just a baby yesterday.
You were just a baby. Now you're trying to walk, and you can feed yourself, and I'm like,
yes. Yeah, like, what? Exactly what happened.
So I feel like this year went by so fast
It
that
did.
I feel like she's going to be in elementary school before I know it.
Yep.
So that brings me to Lydia. Like, that, I'm sure it feels so fast for you.
Exactly how I feel about Lydia. Like, so much so, it's funny you're even bringing this up, because literally today, like right before we got on this call, I was like sitting at the computer and I was trying to figure out, like, the registration thing is completely different now because of this whole, this COVID-19 has changed it. There's no, hey, let me just run up to the school and drop these papers off. No, there's none of that. Let me just run up here and ask them, listen, y'all tell me exactly what documentation is needed. Girl,
none of that.
You have a bazillion and one forms to fill out, and then they need a whole nother bazillion forms to prove your residency, and they need the health forms and the medical records and the this and the that. So it's literally just got me doing that. And I promise you, I'm like, I feel like you were just a baby and now you're going to kindergarten. Like, what's happening? And then not knowing how that's going to work out, because we don't know, this
how they're going to go to school.
Yeah, everything is so uncertain. So we don't know if they will be doing, school virtually, or will they be actually attending class in a classroom. And even if they do, with things still being so rampant with this virus, how will they navigate being in school, and how will I help her, figure out, okay, if you do go, you got to be extra cautious, be very sanitary. It's a lot.
It is.
That thrown in there.
It is. And that's like, they just sent out the request for teachers next year, and I'm like, okay, that's great. The list of teachers, so you can request the classroom, and I'm like, okay, great, let's send in the request for his teacher next year. But I'm like, what are we even going to be doing? Like, we have no idea.
Right, exactly. What's happening?
And I try to talk to, my sisters, they're all in education. So I'm like, so what's
going on? Fill me in.
They're just like, they're still going with the flow. Like, there's still some things up in the air for them as well. Like, my sister Jen, she's a principal, and she's over the school, and so they just had some of the employees come back, but it's only specific employees, and they're at the school, and they're in their respective places. But I'm just like, it's so uncertain. So it's going to be interesting how she will have her first year of school. Like, how that's going to be. Is she going to be doing e-learning? What is e-learning for a kindergartner? Like, what is that look like?
You're literally, it's like you're in my head, because I'm like, what does that even exactly, like, what does that look like? Like, I can't even.
Am I going to be coloring with her, like, throughout the day? Are we going to, like,
cutting and pasting, like, napping, like, now it's nap time. Like, what are we doing?
I'm just going to have to create, because I have, and it's something that I would love to ask those parents who thought about homeschooling.
Yeah.
And they thought that they couldn't do it or whatever, and how they are navigating. I got to ask that question, because I know some people that wanted to homeschool their children. Like, at various times I've talked to different people, and I'm like, I wonder how they're navigating this now, because it's like literally being thrust upon you. This is what you have to do.
Yeah, you have to.
So that's interesting. Schooling is definitely something that kind of comes at you fast.
It does.
You have a child, and
it does.
And then it doesn't stop until they're grown.
Yeah, it doesn't. And it's so, now again, that this whole dynamic of our semi-new normal has been thrown into the mix, because this will affect how we live in every aspect. So education and work and travel and everything. It will affect every single aspect of our lives for some years to come, like, if we're really being honest. So with this being her first year ever, I don't know. I'm just, I'm kind of letting go of all my inhibitions and being like, you know what? It is what it is. We will handle whatever happens. I'll put my best foot forward and make sure I'm doing all I know to do to help her. But man, it's interesting with how, with this whole virus this pandemic has just thrown every little thing is an ordeal due to that. So
now you're an entrepreneur. So you are an entrepreneur, mompreneur. And your business is very much, you go and you're like in different locations, you travel. Yeah, so how do you navigate that space? Do you have, because I know your family's in a different state.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that space when you're like, okay, I have to go, I have to be on this side of town early in the morning or late in the evening? How do you navigate that space?
So thankfully, which moving forward, it will be back to the drawing board how it was when Leah was small. But thankfully, due to Leah being 12 years older than Lydia, and the bulk of my work is bridal. So most of the time it's weekends that I'm working, which she is out of school, and her job, she's a part-time job at a retail store. So for the most part, I'm able to, if she is working, I'm able to get her, hey, request off this day or request to work this certain shift because I need you to keep your sister. And then in the unfortunate circumstance, and this doesn't happen a lot, to where she can't keep her, let's say she has an event at school because she's in the chorus as well. So in case maybe she has something with school or whatever, or work, then I'll just hire a sitting company to come to my home and just keep Lydia. And that dynamic is, I'm thankful I'm able to do that, but sometimes it's a little disheartening because we work to make a living, right? So it's almost like that whole thing of having to pay to work is frustrating.
It is.
Mentally frustrating, because as you mentioned, it's literally just me and the kids. Like, my parents are far away. They don't live here. And the few close friends I have, they have their own lives too. So they live far from me. So it's not like, it literally is just me.
Right.
Yeah, it's just me and my two kids, and every single solitary thing falls on me. I don't have someone to pass the baton to say, hey, I gotta work, or hey, I just need 5 minutes to clear my head. Like, it's literally always me. So that works usually because I am thankfully in a space where the bulk of my jobs are on weekends, and Lydia is being kept by her big sister Leah. So that it always works out. And then like weekdays, sometimes, very seldom, doesn't happen often, I may have like something that I have to do makeup for that is scheduled for a weekday. So same thing, I'll hire a sitter to come to the house. And there's some pretty dope ones in the city. Like, they come to your home. Yeah, I mean, it's some really, and last minute too. Like, you can literally, like, day of, and they'll send some people out.
That's good.
Accredited places, they're great. So anyway, yeah. So I just kind of, I'm always really prayerful. I know that sounds like I'm throwing that in there, but I really do. I consult God about everything, and I always, at the beginning of each year, I always say, this is, my desire, my business plan is this, but Lord, at the end of the day, my situation. So please allow me the mobility to be able to move and do what I need to do. And 9 times out of 10, I'm always able to say, hey, kids, I'll be back later. I got a wedding today, or I got 2 weddings today, and I got 1 tomorrow. Like, it just always ends up working out.
Right.
And that's how I navigate that. I'm thankful that it's as stressful as it is sometimes to have 12-year gaps between your kids, it works out.
Yeah.
It does. It really helps. So yeah, that's how I move about, because she's able to keep her. So.
And that is the blessing in it, because when you don't have those extra hands, like I'm so thankful that my mom is retired and that she lives like less than 10 minutes from me.
Blessing.
So, like when I have a shoot or a last minute appointment, or even just doing this,
Yes.
my mom is in the living room with Arden right now.
Perfect.
So because I'm like, okay, how is it that I can excel and propel my business forward if I have this little one that I like? I'm not putting, especially right now, there's no sitters, there's no daycare.
No, we ain't doing that.
We're not doing that. So
no.
Luckily, and it's been such a blessing that my mom has watched her since I started going back to work.
Nice.
And so that I did not know any other route to take.
Right.
Because we get Junior on the weekends. So it's not like during the week, if, he's not old enough yet, but when he does get old enough where you can leave him at home, it's like, that's only on the weekend. During the week, what am I going to do? Exactly. So I think it's incredible that you are able to move and excel in your business the way you are, because your daughter is like, I got this, Mom, go.
Yeah.
Do what
she's just a great, like, I really am truly blessed in that vein, because, and most moms would say that, oh, my kid's great, but no, she really, like, even if I weren't her mother, I would be like, she's such a great kid. A lot of the worries that a lot of parents have, I literally don't have. Is she perfect? Not by a long shot. Okay, like, I'm not one of those moms, not my child. Yeah, your kids will do this, that. They will. Oh, they will. But for the most part, and in the grand scheme of things, she's phenomenal and is excellent at teaching Lydia. Like, even like Lydia is doing a little bit of reading, and it's literally solely due to Leah. Like, I can't even take the credit for that. Like, she's reading little words, and I'm like, what? Like, and it's because of like Leah, and her patience is far better than mine will ever be. Like, it's just one of those, you seen the meme where it's like, where the kid is sitting and writing and the parent standing over them. It's like, if you had 5 apples and something, and then it's like, so I'm that parent. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm like, patience. Oh Lord, that's a virtue that needs work. And she is just opposite. Like, she's great. Like, her patience is way better than mine, and she has figured out a way to get through to Lydia to help her learn things that are a little bit difficult for her. And so, yeah, it's not just, when she keeps her, that I have to worry, like, oh Lord, what's she gonna have her doing? Like, no, she is great with her.
She got it.
Yeah, I literally can leave and not, because sometimes you leave your kids with another kid or even a sitter, and you can't work. Yeah, because your mind is like, okay, are they doing what they're supposed to do? Are they doing, like, I literally am at peace and at ease.
That is a blessing.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
It's great, because you've met Lydia. She's a handful. You already know.
But she is so adorable. Like,
that's the thing. She doesn't look like how she acts. Like, her personality and what she looks like don't match.
She is definitely a handful.
Oh my God.
She's a handful, but it's like, what child really isn't, like, somewhat
exactly, to some extent, all kids are right. Yeah,
some extent, whether it's like Arden she loves to eat. She's at that phase where if you're eating, she wants to be eating what you're eating. Okay. And it's great. I'm like, okay, you're gonna be my little foodie. Like, we're not gonna have any problems. Because she only has like 2.5 teeth. I love it. she doesn't have enough teeth to be really eating stuff. So she's at that phase where it's like, ma'am, I have to give you specific things.
Right. You can't eat all of this.
You can't eat all of this over here. So, ma'am, I need you to calm down. Like, calm down. She would get mad. Like yesterday, I was drinking a smoothie, and I've started to let her so she can get the taste and start to try different things. And I'm giving her some off of my straw, and I got to the point where it was only like that much. So I went ahead and drunk it.
Yeah.
She was. I was like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
You bad. You big bad.
You are big mad that there is no more smoothie left. So in this, because you are currently like on a pause, kind of, sort of, you're not physically going out. You're doing more of the office management stuff that business owners like me don't like.
At all. Oh yeah, I don't like this.
Don't like it. I don't like it. Like, I really wish if I could just do the craft and have somebody else take care of everything else, I would be so fine.
Yes.
I would be so fine with it. And I've had that experience before in the past with a different company that I was with, where all I had to do was literally do my job and upload the photos, and that was it. But trying to expand, I want to do this myself and all of that, it has a whole other dynamic. So handling the back office stuff while momming, while trying to do all of the things. Oh
my gosh.
Do you have you figured out, or have you set a schedule in the midst of all of this right now? Like, do you have a certain designated time to do everything?
So what I like to do is when I get up, I do a really brief devotional period, and then immediately I go into checking emails and stuff, because I'm horrid at doing that. I'm so bad at checking emails. It's just I literally, if I could figure out a way to pay somebody to do that, I would do it yesterday. I hate it.
I know somebody that does admin work, virtual admin work.
Well, we're gonna have to talk because I don't like it. I really don't. I just prefer to say, okay, you need me at thus and so time. Here's the fees. Oh, it's a wedding. Okay, here's the contract.
Right.
Let's get it done. I'll be there.
Yeah.
The back and forth, which again, that's unrealistic, right? You can't be, you cannot work for yourself and then just expect the business end of everything
to be done.
So that's what I try to do. Of course, due to the kids, that sometimes gets altered, because what I like to do is to get up, do my short devotional, and then do emails. By then, Lydia is awake. Then I get Leah up. And what I try to do is set Lydia up with some type of something that she can do on her own. So some type of working, educational, something that she can do by herself, so that I am able to do, my thing. Then that works for the most part. Again, some days are totally off, and I'm not going to force it, because then that causes stress. And this is stressful enough. So I'm not adding any more stress. So if there are days where I'm literally, and we're not robots, right? We're human, and you have to throw in that human element into everything. So I do realize, although there is a set schedule, I literally just, on days where it doesn't work, I just kind of take that day to pull back, regroup, reset, and then start all over. But that's what I try to do. I try to literally, right after the devotion, get Lydia set up with what she's going to do, make sure Leah's up and on her work, and then I'm on it with whatever needs to be done that particular day. And usually what I try to do is at the end of the day, look at what's coming up. So if there are events that are coming up, that right now the bulk of my work, to be honest with you, are just two things: getting contracts redone for events that were happening right now and the month before last. There's been a million, a gazillion postponements. And to the point where certain events have been postponed 2 and 3 times. So that means redoing. So that means redoing contracts
over and over.
Over and over and over. But I'm grateful though, because a lot of people in my shoes have been dealing with cancellations altogether. And I'm grateful that everything I've had has just been postponed. Like nothing was flat out, we're canceling this. So that means that although money had stopped, because I'm not able to go do work and all that, money for future events, like deposits that are required to set something, that comes, and that there was no loss from these other. So I'm looking at, like things are tight and not nearly, because the in between things, like, hey, I'm going out with my friends, I'm that money that I'm used to, that has completely halted. So that's stressful. But just right now it's literally just two things, like making sure inquiries are answered via email, and making sure that contracts are kept current, with these new dates that have come up. And it's it can be frustrating because you've got people who want a specific date, but then you've got people who were already booked for, like, say, April something. So then they wanted a date for this one, and you're like, oh, I can't. But then it's so up in the air because
you don't know what's going to happen.
We're making these dates hoping that things will be,
open and ready and free. And
because with what I do, it's you don't get any closer to a person than their face. That's you literally cannot get any closer. Like, so I get it. That's a great concern. And so it's just navigating this whole thing of, we're literally playing it by ear with everything. And I'm just hoping and praying that, it continues the way it's been. Because so far I've been able to just handle things with, getting people's deposits for holding future dates, and moving people that were supposed to be during this time where we've had nothing go on to future dates. And I'm just praying that everything keeps going smoothly, because it's hard not knowing, what we'll be able to do.
Yes. And I, like you said, you don't get any closer than somebody's face. Yeah. And so I know that is something you don't want to take the risk on for yourself or for that person.
Exactly.
So I'm praying that everything continues to get better, and that stuff starts opening back up in a sense of where it's okay for it to be opening back up.
Right.
People
that's the thing.
Going out and just doing stuff is like, what are y'all doing?
Right. Like, why are we doing this? Yeah. It's really not. It's really not. If it's a necessity, that's one thing. But even then, like, figure out a way to not do all this unnecessary moving around. Like, sit still.
Right. Yeah.
Like, really sit down somewhere and be still.
Yes. So I would like to dive into, and you let me know how far, but like, with Leah.
Yes.
She's your first. How old were you when you had her? And how was, you don't have to tell me completely labor and delivery, all of that, but like, how was that at that time, and then navigating that space as a first-time mom? And like, you're taking on a journey. Like, I know when I was literally, I just had her, I'm 30 years old. I turned 30 right after I'd had her. But how old were you when you had her, and like, how did you navigate that space at that time?
So I was a 20-year-old kid. Okay. So I don't know if we can all go back to, where we were mentally at 20. Like, honey, I always phrase it like that on purpose. Cause when you are 20, you don't think you're a kid. But now that I'll be 38 in December. And I was a 20-year-old kid, literally.
Wow.
Having a kid.
Yeah.
And so, so that was, it was interesting but I've always I'm very old. Like, I have this really old soul. And that's always been like that. Even though when I was younger, of course I did, at the time, was not mentally anywhere close to mentally where I am now at that time. But even then, because I enjoyed, didn't really like being around people my age per se, and always enjoyed being around older people. Like, I'm just that person. And so due to that element, I think that helped a lot with, the maturity of understanding what this task was that was before me as being a mom. Like, it's like, yeah, you're a 20-year-old kid, but you know, you have an entire life to be responsible for. Like, this tiny human is now your responsibility fully. And at the time, I was still living in the city. I lived in Memphis, Tennessee at the time with my parents right there. That's where they live now. And so I had that element there, and I had her father's parents lived in that city. So, you know, we had huge support. So
right.
it helped tremendously. But yeah, it was tough. Labor, she was late. Like, I remember it being like forever and a day, and I'm like, this kid is not coming. So the plan was, my doctor at the time, she was great. She was like, well, what we're gonna do, this what we'll do. We will put you in the hospital, we'll induce labor, and see if she comes that way. Child, 18 and a half hours. I literally went in on a Thursday evening, made labor within the hour. I started laboring. Literally the worst pain I'd ever felt in my life. I literally felt like somebody was like, you know, you snap a pencil in half. Like, I literally, that's what it felt like. I'm like, I'm gonna break in half. Like, I literally felt like if someone could just snap me in half, I would feel better. Like, it was awful. But my cervix literally, I dilated. I think she said like a fraction of a centimeter. Like, it was awful. So they ended up doing an epidural, and then still nothing. She kept checking, no dilation. I mean, my cervix softened and then opened up like a little bit, and that was it. So she was like, if we continue with this laboring, which is why I responded to you telling me about your friend who, like, that's basically 2 days. I'm like, how did you do that? Yeah. But my doctor was like, you're not going to have any strength to do much more laboring. Plus, this can put the baby in distress and all of that. And so, sure enough, it did, because, like, I was just laying there in the room, and all of a sudden, her heart rate, like, plummeted. You know how they put you on a machine while you're laboring? Yeah. And it literally was like, like, just slowed way down. I was like, oh, no. And then, so, like, 4 of them, like, came rushing in. They were like, like, it was just, like, mayhem. I was like, what's happening? So the doctor came in. She's like, we're just going to have to take her. You're going to have a C-section. I was like, okay, cool. And at that point, I'm like, I don't care what you do. Girl. Okay, so my phone's on Do Not Disturb.
But it's still like.
So I'm not sure what's happening, like why that call even came through. But yeah, so I'm sitting there like, okay, fine. Because at this point, I just want the child out. So C-section it is. Let's go. Let's do it. So yeah, after about 18 and a half hours, she finally gets there. And the recovery was interesting because I was not very active with Leah. Like, with Lydia, I was much older. I was 32 when I had her. So it was like, you know, I was working out, all that, making sure that I ate really great or whatever. I ate great with Leah, but I was just not active. I just didn't do, because I wasn't thinking like that. My head wasn't thinking at that point. And recovery was like, I mean, they practically gut you like a pig to get, you know what I mean? That's practically what a C-section is. Like, you're sliced open, and then they close you back up. And then to prevent blood clots and all of that, they're literally in there, I want to say within, it was less than 12 hours maybe. They were like, okay, Miss Smith, you have to get up and walk. And I'm like, I can't stand up straight. What do you mean walk? I was like, how? Literally. I was like, how? Walk where? How am I supposed to do this? So yeah, so that whole, it was interesting. So the hospital stay was a lot longer than expected due to the C-section. I was there almost a week, pretty much almost a week. And then after that, slowly but surely, the healing process started to happen, and I was able to do things. And then after a while, it was like, it was nothing. Like, you don't. But
you were there almost a week.
Yeah, and everything was going well. Like, you would think something was wrong, but no. She was, she just wanted. She was very very thorough. She was one of those doctors. My doctor was like one of those that was like, not about rushing to get you home and all that.
Well, that's good. That's good.
At the time, I had really dope insurance, so like But that was the other thing. But yeah, it was interesting. Hindsight, it's like you you realize how much you grow up when you're only 20. And yeah, I did a lot of growing up quickly in those years. And but yeah, the labor and delivery was something I won't ever forget, because in my head I was thinking, oh, I can do this. I literally was like, I can do this naturally. It's not gonna be a big deal. As soon as they induced labor, literally I felt like as soon as they induced it, I was like, come back in here, please. What, you can give me what? Like, I want all that. Like, anything you can give me to
all of the
manage,
things.
yeah, any type of pain management, I want all of it. Like, what can I have? Like, I threw all that was out the window. I was, oh, I'm gonna do this, and I don't want that, honey. I was like, yep, whatever you got to give, I want it. Give it to me.
And was it completely different for Lydia? Like, were you able to?
With Lydia, it was pretty scary with her, actually. Like, I went to the doctor, and it was near the end. So, near the end, you're going like what feels like every day. You're like going like once a week, always there.
Yeah.
And when I first, and near the beginning of the pregnancy, and my doctor, she was great. She was very thorough. She was like, well, we can do one of two things. She's like, I'll leave it up to you, depending on when I get your medical records back from your other doctor in Memphis. She wanted to be sure that there were no issues with the incision on the inside, the actual one on my uterus. She was like, because if anything had happened with that, you can risk rupturing that incision, and then that can cause a ton of internal issues. So we don't do that. She was like, so we want to be sure we take the baby early enough if you had any issues. If you did not, and you healed perfectly fine and all that, and once I looked through your records from her, then you can just wait it out and try to have her naturally. So here I go again, thinking, oh, I got it. And I was like, I've been working out and this and that. And I was asking her, as I admonish all moms, like, if the minute you find out you're pregnant, unless you are instructed from your doctor not to do so, be active. Now, I'm not saying 2.5 hours in the gym every day. Like, don't be ridiculous, but it really, really makes a gargantuan difference. Your body was like, your body will thank you. So I was like really adamant about being healthy and taking care of myself. And the fact that I was older, and I was like, you know what? I really want to do this right. I was like, plus I know if I'm active, this may help in, having a kid. Girl. So push forward. She's like, this kid is not coming, so we're gonna schedule you a C-section. Like, the whole thing again, just like with Leah, cervix wasn't even like, she was like, yeah, it's softening, but nothing's happening.
Wow.
And so she was like, so we're gonna take her. So I went. She sent me over to the hospital to fill out the paperwork and all of that to have the scheduled C-section. It was supposed to be scheduled for the next day. So that same day that I'm scheduled to go do the paperwork, I had a doctor's visit. I go to the doctor, and this was just supposed to be the last one, right? So I'm there, and they hook me up to the machine just to do what they call a little stress test. So like, if the baby moves, you press this little button, and they just take a look at the baby's heart rate to see, with anybody, even me doing this, it's going to elevate my heart rate. So they wanted to see that on the paper, like when the baby moves, the heart rate is supposed to increase. Well, it was not. Like, Lydia was not, and when she would move, it was not, at the end, movement is like,
and you feel it a lot.
Prominent, and it's strong, and there's it's not like a wavy, like, oh, is she moving, is she not? So it was very like, not how it should normally feel, literally right at the end. And so they came back in, and they were like, so here's what's going on, not to, frighten you, but we're going to send you back to the hospital, and I want them to, what they're going to be doing is called, what did she call it? Like a physical anatomy something. And what it means is they literally just do like this ultrasound that's very specific to make sure the limbs are as big as they're supposed to be in this net. Like, just
okay.
Like,
the anatomy scan. Yeah.
So they go and do that, and the lady like runs out like while she's in the middle of doing it. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So she comes back in. She said, she's like, yeah, we're getting your doctor on the phone. If she doesn't come, there'll be another one. She was like, you're gonna have to get into surgery right away. We got to get the baby out. There is absolutely unequivocally no amniotic fluid left. Nothing. So I'm like, when did this, to this day, I'm baffled because I never remember like the mucus plug coming out and then my water. So my mom thinks, she was like, well, maybe your water broke in the shower like a day or so before. You just didn't know. So that explained why she was in some distress, like when I was at the doctor.
Right.
So they sent me over there, and literally within, I don't even think it was an hour, they had me in the room to get the C-section. Like the guy, anesthesiologist was there to do the epidural, all of that. Yeah, it moved really quickly. And thankfully, as I'm literally like lying there and they're explaining everything, her dad and I are like talking to each other, and I'm just like, this happened so quick. Like this, literally we were thinking it's gonna be a regular day to get her, talk about getting her the next day. But no, like all of this happened in one day. And my doctor walks in, and I was like, yes, I get, because at this point I'm thinking I'm not gonna have her, like I'm just have some stranger that's in the group with her, and thankfully I had her. Right. So yeah, before I knew it, Lydia was here. She was healthy. She had a slight issue with jaundice a little bit, so she had to be wrapped up in this like blanket. They do like light therapy.
Yes.
The blanket is like a light, and you wrap the blanket. It was actually really cool looking. And it had like this little, because of the light, it can mess with the baby's eyes. So she had to wear like this mask all the time. And that kind of messed with me for a little, like one day after. The first day I was fine with it. And then the next day I kept looking at her. I'm like, I can't even
can't see her face.
Like, it was like really weird and abnormal. Yeah. But after that though, like after that first day or two, she started clearing up. Her skin was less yellow, and about the third, fourth day, we were home.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, it ended up turning out good. But yeah, for a minute, I was like, "What's happening?" Like I was nervous.
Really happened to my sister Amanda.
It was awful.
She went in. It was one of her last. She was planning to have her baby at my nephew, at a birthing center. And one of her last checkups, she went and they were like nothing was happening, but they did her check and there was no fluid because she had, had like, pretty much it was like, and I think I was there with her the day that her water actually broke. She was at work, and I remember like she thought she was just sweating, like everything was sweaty and everything at that point. And so she thinks that, like, I remember us thinking like, girl, your thighs is just sweating right now. But I think it was then that her water broke, and because she didn't know, it was like a day or two had gone by. To get the checkup, and they were like, yeah, we got to get you in for a C-section. So that is so.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You think it's like, oh, this is just like one. No, I guess it happens more.
Clearly it happens, because I was like, what do you, I couldn't believe what she was saying. I'm like, what? And clearly stressing me out, because like they kept checking my pressure. It was like sky high, and I have zero blood pressure issues. Like that's not something, and I purposely try to eat well and try to take care of myself due to my family history. That's never anything I've had an issue with, like ever. And they were like, it's gonna be okay. Like they had to give me medicine for my pressure. Like it was awful. Like I was really stressed, and I didn't think I was. I felt like I was calm. And my doctor, after like the first 6-week visit, she was like, yeah, you internalize a lot, don't you? And I was like, I think so. She was like, that's probably what it was. Like, you think you're okay, but no. She was like, your pressure was like, we were concerned. Wow. Yeah, but when she came, like it normalized. So I guess I was just really like freaking out.
Like, what is going on? What do you mean there's no fluid? What?
Yeah, literally, I was just like, excuse me, what? And they were just moving so quick, like, and understandably so, because she was like, Lydia just wasn't, like, her heart rate wasn't good, and there was no fluid, and she was not moving the way she was supposed to. Like, just like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. Yeah. And I was just like,
this is what? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, So the C-section was over. Healing process went much better, and I think that was just due to me being so active and stuff. I felt better after her, and like 12 whole years later than I did when I was 20. Like, and it was really weird. So I'm a huge advocate for women, particularly Black women, due to all the things we are genetically predisposed to with our health.
Right.
It just doesn't hurt unless your doctor has told you not to, due to, you know, whatever issues you may have. Just, being really active is so amazing. Like, you just feel great. The baby comes here, you know, great. So it helps. Yeah.
And if you can do that, like, before, if you were thinking about getting pregnant or want to, like, if you're active beforehand, it helps as well. Like, I was literally moving and going and working until like 38 weeks. I was moving a lot. So it definitely helps.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. And that's how I think that's how we all should do it.
Yeah,
and I know
absolutely. If I could go back, I would just be more active.
Totally would do that again. But we're not going back there again. 2 is enough.
Listen,
I think we're done.
I'm like right now with 1, I'm like, I think I'm good.
Yeah, kids are, again, it's no joke. And the times that we live in now, it's that makes it difficult, especially when you want the best for your kids and you're really invested in their futures. It's the way things are going now, it just makes it really difficult. I don't blame people who don't want to have more children or don't want to even have any at all, because it's just it's a difficult time.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's a lot happening.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap it up, but before we do, I would like for you, if you could think of one tip, or a couple tips for moms, for expected moms, for future moms, that something that you would want to leave them with, as like, this is how you navigate this space as a mom of 2 children, or as a mom of 1 child. Like, this is how you would do it, or like, this is something that has helped me. What would be that tip that you would?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that you are only one person and you can only do so much, and to give yourself space to be human. You are not a robot, and you cannot consistently give out of an empty cup. So take the time to replenish you. And whatever that looks like for you, you know, for me, it's different than what it would be for the next mother. But if it's taking a bath and reading a book or going outside for a walk, like, be sure that you are taking time to replenish you, because you cannot give from a depleted space. That's just not. And so many of us try to do that. And then it's just like a bank account. You can't continue to do that or you'd be negative. And then recouping a negative anything is hard, because you're having to give into something to get back to square one. And another tip that something that I do, at the end of each week, I take like a small, like a little sticky note, and I jot down something positive that happened that week. And I think you already know that I do this.
Yes.
But this is something that that was dropped in my spirit the beginning of this year, and I said that I would literally do it from here on out for the rest of my life. Each week, jot down on a sheet of paper. It doesn't have to be a pretty sheet of paper. Like, literally, you can just tear off some type of paper, whatever. Like, tear off a sheet of paper. Jot down one simple positive thing that happened that week. And even if it has to be, I didn't fall apart this week. I did not lose my mind this week. I kept myself together. I mean, because sometimes it takes that. Sometimes literally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there was something negative that happened. So if at the end of that week, all you can think of to say is, I didn't lose my mind this week, jot it down and put that day's, that date of that day on the paper and fold it up, and then put it in like a little jar or something. And then at the end of the year, on New Year's Eve, pull all of those out and reflect on the positives for that year. And that will subconsciously, it will force you, even when, because let's be real, unless you're the owner of Zoom right now or something like that, you're not, let's call a spade, you're not having a phenomenal kick-ass year. It's hard for everyone.
Right.
It's difficult. There are things that are happening that are great. Yes, some businesses are still thriving. Some are surviving. That's me. I'm in the survival mode. Like, I'm not
survival.
Yeah, I'm totally surviving. I'm not like skyrocketing and soaring. And so due to that, when the end of the year comes, I will have every week of this year forced myself to think of something positive to jot down. And at the end of the year, I have, as hard as this year has been, I'll have some positive things to reflect on. And it will force us to see that horizon and that light at the end of the tunnel. It forces you to be like, oh, I got to jot this down this week. So what can I think of? And you'll be surprised at some positives that are still happening. So that's probably the biggest key too that I would do, is just force yourself to focus on the positives.
Yes.
Yeah. It helps.
Yes, that is good. Listen, that is such a key. And I remember you telling that and sharing that with me. And I'm like, I still haven't started it, but like, that was a reminder.
And it's so literally, I mean, it's so like when you do it, you'll be like, oh, this is stupid. Because I came up with the idea and I still like, this is dumb. This is whack. This ain't work. Like, what is this? But even with me saying that, I'm like, nah, I got to force myself to a new habit. And now that I do it, because I was the same way. That's surprising to hear. I came up with the idea, told people to do it, but I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, it's not going to help. But I've literally forced myself to form a new habit, and it has, it's been like, okay, this is making me think of the highlights or think of great that happened. And it doesn't have to be made. That's the thing. That's another tip. I know I'm like, but I have to add this. We also need to stop as moms thinking, and I blame social media is a gift and a curse. And I blame social media a lot because it gives this false narrative of like this immediate, like microwave popcorn type of success. That ain't how life works. No. It takes 1 million nights to become an overnight success. Like, it really does. Or sometimes 1 billion nights to become an overnight success. Like, that whole instant success isn't real. And I sometimes think that we look at social media and we forget that that's a highlight reel. It's literally like when ESPN plays the highlights of a game. They're showing the highlight points, and they selected those. They picked we're going to show this. And social media is the same. People have shown you what they chose to show you of their life. And even with the quote unquote low moments, they still picked that to show you. So you're still not really getting the full picture. So that's why I say with these little things to jot down, don't think of something huge. Like we have this false narrative and lie to ourselves and think, well, if it isn't monumental and earth shattering, then it's not no. If you cooked a bomb ass dinner on Sunday and everybody loved it.
Yes. Talk about
write that down. Like, yo, I cooked dinner Sunday and everybody was like, Mom, that was good. Like little things. They really matter, and they really will allow you to realize what's important and what's not. It doesn't have to be, oh, my business opened up its first actual brick and mortar location. Like, it don't have to be that. If you did that, great, jot that down. But if at the end of the week it was just you cooked a great dinner, or you were able to plan a Zoom meeting with your girls, like, it doesn't have to be something monumental. Like, let's not lose sight of what's reality in the small things that make these big successes.
Yes. That is so good. That is so good. And I think, like you said, I think that we need to kind of create our own highlight reel for ourselves.
Yes.
And that would be able to, so we can play back our own moments where we felt like we made a difference, or we're championing for ourselves. Like, I think that is key. That is really key. So that is good. That is good.
Yeah. Thanks. This was fun.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Love to talk about better.
Yes. I don't know what else. Like, I would love to try to keep this going, but I just wanted to.
So important. It's real life stuff.
Yes.
You know
Like
what I mean?
I just wanted to start with this because this month means a lot. Like this was my first Mother's Day.
Yeah.
At the end of this month, literally my daughter will turn 1. So I was like, this month has like a lot of meaning
Lot.
for me.
Yeah.
But this was great. The next video after this one will be all about breastfeeding.
Oh, it's the best.
Because
It helps
that
their
like
body snap back, honey.
it listen, I am like about 10 pounds away from my pre-pregnancy weight.
It's crazy
And
how
that
like
is
helps.
like
Huge, right?
major.
Huge, huge.
It's so awesome. So yeah, that's gonna be a really awesome video as well. But this was great. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for asking me. Like, I'm honored. Anytime someone, like, because you can, there's a million moms, you know what I'm saying? So thank you. Like, there's a bazillion moms out here. So I was glad to be part of it.
Yes, I like, you're right. And I think I value the friendships that I have
Same.
and the moms that I see that are killing it. Like,
Oh, thank you.
because you can see the dynamics that it takes. Like just me having, Arden and then being a stepmom, like I see the dynamics that it takes to be a mom. And so when I see you out here, like, yes, I'm championing you for everything that you want to do, like everything that you're trying to do, that you're trying to put together. Listen, when I need my face beat, call her. I will make sure I'm going to tag you in the post so people know.
Yeah.
Listen,
Like,
I'm ready for when you start when you bring your face product back. I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready. I need some skincare. I need some really significant skincare that's gonna make it. So I'm so ready. I'm so ready.
It's gonna make me cry. Literally gonna make me cry. Because that's all that matters. Like the people that I love, loving what I do. Like that means so, you know what I mean? It seems like nothing to some people. That means a lot to me.
It means a lot. Like
does.
I don't have to have 1 million followers. I don't have to have like this grandiose career. I just want to impact the people that are impacted by me.
Yes.
Correct. That's
it.
That's it. Yes. And if that's all I do at the end of the day, and by the time I'm done with this life, then that's all that matters.
You did it. Yeah. You accomplished what you set out to accomplish.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yay. Thank you. I look forward to pushing this out and letting everybody see.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. I'm excited.
You have a fantastic day. Thank you.
You too.
You too.
Bye.